The US inflation was mostly caused by COVID, with supply and demand being fucked up all over the globe, as well as lockdowns and quarantining reducing the demand for many things. The Fed themselves and Jerome Powell even said several times that inflation tends to follow a 2-year rule. It takes about 2 years for inflation to really hit its peak, and it takes 2 years to bring it back down. Which is why inflation hit its peak at 9% in the summer of 2022. And even though it is currently, as of March, just below 5%, it is on track to hit 2%, which is what they want, in 2024. A lot of people like to claim that inflation was low under Trump and went up under Biden, but no, inflation was already on its way from COVID when Biden took office. It hadn't hit its peak yet. And again, that's from the Federal Reserve and Forbes themselves. People also like to tell me that it's because of Biden spending too much money. While it's almost impossible to track every single dollar the government spends under an administration, let's look at how much they've cracked up the debt. In 2 years, Joe Biden has increased the debt $2.5 trillion, mostly from COVID relief bills, which represents almost a 9% increase. In his total 4 years, Donald Trump raised it almost $7 trillion. $4 trillion of that, over half, was just from his tax cut to billionaires. Donald Trump raised the debt by a third. And again, more than half of it just from his dumb fucking tax break to corporations and billionaires. So no, between the two of them, Trump had a much bigger spending problem. Because even if you cut Trump's number in half to represent 2 years, he was still higher than Biden, by a lot. Now let's briefly touch on unemployment. During Trump's presidency, it was mostly in the 4%. Then once COVID hit, it jacked into the double digits. It has since been slowly coming back down to the point where as of now it's at actually 3.4%. Which is the lowest it's been in over 50 years. So Biden's beating Trump on unemployment too. And while people like to give credit to Trump for having a strong economy, so they call it, like most successes that Trump has had in his life, he didn't build it himself. He inherited it from somebody else. After the recession from George W. Bush, Obama brought the unemployment rate from 10.5 down to 4.5. That trend continued during the first 2 years of Trump's administration. Remember, during the first 2 years of a president's administration, you're under the laws from the previous guy. So Trump was riding the coattails of Obama's success almost up until COVID hit. Oh wait, I almost forgot about all the dumb people who are going to show up and complain about the aid to Ukraine. Even the National Review is willing to admit that the aid to Ukraine is just a tiny percentage of the US defense budget. It is a drop in the fucking bucket. Even if you didn't give any aid to Ukraine, that money would not be part of our circulation or helping our inflation. This is like claiming that you would have more money in your wallet if your neighbor got a second job. The money's not even coming from the same place. But even the National Review has admitted that the total bipartisan aid to Ukraine isn't even 6% of our defense budget. So nice try. However, you know what would help? We could repeal Trump's stupid 2017 tax cut for corporations and billionaires. While COVID set the stage for global inflation, these tax cuts really fueled it here at home. However, out of all the talks they're having now to increase the debt ceiling and fight inflation, guess the one thing the Republicans refuse to touch? Yeah, it's their fucking tax cuts. The GOP is selfish as fuck. And if you're claiming the problem is Biden, when the GOP screwed the country out of $4 trillion in the debt with these tax cuts, you're part of the fucking problem. You're just enabling these corporations and defending these billionaires while they steal your wallet. So many idiots who won't do 5 seconds of research keep claiming that Biden is spending too much and Trump's economy was great. You take 5 seconds to look it up, the stats do not agree with you. Trump spent way more than Biden and caused more to the debt.